a lot of people had assumed Chuck Norris to be a certain kind of man, serious, unyielding, callous, based on the memes and the one-liners. But there's a compassionate and emotional man behind the facade, someone who cares immensely for his family and will do just about anything to ensure their well-being. Chuck Norris has disclosed the mysterious death of Bruce Lee. In the past, Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris were renowned for their rapid strikes, lethal fighting techniques, and stealthy moves. The pair had a unique bond that was closer than that of brothers, marked by blood and passion, until Bruce's untimely passing. Chuck was deeply affected by the loss and spent years in agony over the unknown fate of his comrade. Now, years later, Chuck has broken his silence and revealed the truth about Bruce Lee's death. Join us today as we uncover Chuck Norris's shocking revelation about the tragic and mysterious death of the legend Bruce Lee, and also explore surprising aspects of Chuck Norris's personal life. Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee had a close relationship, as confirmed by Norris himself in an interview with WorldNet Daily. They not only knew each other, but also spent time together and even sparred occasionally. Norris described Lee as charismatic and friendly both in person and on screen. The legendary karate expert with a beard mentioned that he thoroughly enjoyed sparring and hanging out with Lee. Despite the heartwarming revelation of their friendship, Norris skillfully avoids answering the burning question of what would have happened if they had competed against each other. Instead, he shares a philosophical quote from Lee, known as a Bruceism: "Showing off is the fool's idea of glory." It seems that Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris had a mutual appreciation for each other, evident in their respect for one another's abilities and beliefs. According to Mixed Martial Arts, the two first crossed paths at the 1967 All-American Karate Open Championships at Madison Square Garden. During the event, Lee showcased his techniques while Norris emerged as the champion. Following this, they engaged in a deep conversation about their individual fighting philosophies, which eventually culminated in an intense sparring session in the corridors that lasted until the early hours of the morning. Lee and Norris formed a friendship after their first meeting, and for the next 2 years, they trained in Lee's backyard in Los Angeles. Their routine only ended when Lee moved to Hong Kong to pursue his movie career. Norris, known for his high kicks and roundhouses, convinced Lee of their usefulness. Lee initially believed in kicking only below the waist, but Norris argued that you should kick wherever the opponent allows you to, and demonstrated his high kicks. Lee was impressed and began incorporating Norris' techniques into his own arsenal.
You know, Bruce was very, very good, but he never fought in the ring. You know,
Really?
No, he never fought in the ring.
Okay.
There's a big difference. You know, kicking the bag is one thing, getting the ring.
Chuck Norris was born on March 10, 1940, in Ryan, Oklahoma. He was the eldest of 3 brothers and grew up in a small town where he developed a love for martial arts at a young age. Norris was a shy and introverted child, often bullied at school for his small stature. However, he found solace in martial arts and began training in Tang Soo Do, eventually earning a black belt. Chuck Norris has become an enigmatic figure over the past 15 years, with his reputation as a skilled martial artist and charismatic actor overshadowed by the widespread humor and absurd comedy that surrounds him. Despite his legendary status, many millennials and Gen Z members may not fully appreciate the extent of his body of work or the dedication he put into building his reputation in Hollywood. His disappearance from the public eye stands in stark contrast to the tough, unyielding persona he had carefully crafted over the years. Chuck Norris and former model Gina O'Kelly have been married for more than 22 years. They first met in 1997 when Chuck had a small role in a television series that featured Gina. Despite Gina being 23 years younger than Chuck, the age gap did not stop them from pursuing a romantic relationship. They tied the knot on November 28, 1998, and welcomed twins on August 30, 2001. In 2013, Gina faced complications after undergoing an MRI scan for her rheumatoid arthritis. She claimed that an unsafe injection, known as a contrast agent, caused debilitating symptoms in her body. Despite seeking emergency treatment, doctors initially dismissed her concerns and did not provide the necessary care. It wasn't until Chuck found an integrative doctor in Reno, Nevada, that Gina received effective treatment for her condition. Chuck and his spouse claimed that the entire situation was triggered by a substance known as gadolinium, a contrast agent utilized in 33% of MRI scans globally. It is important to highlight that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration asserts that the substance is not dangerous and that it is a standard and safe agent used in MRI procedures. Chuck and Gina believe that there may be more to the situation, but it is up to us to determine the accuracy of their reasoning. The key takeaway here is how Chuck, nearly retired from a highly successful career in Hollywood, devoted his life to advocating for his wife's illness. He penned an article on WND detailing his choice to take legal action against 11 big pharma companies that manufacture and distribute the drug. Additionally, he recognized his privilege in being able to afford costly treatments and hospital stays for his wife, acknowledging that millions are not as fortunate. While there is much controversy surrounding his accusations against these pharma companies, one cannot overlook the dedication of a man who is willing to go to any lengths to ensure his wife's safety and well-being. Chuck, at the age of 80, is a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. With 13 grandchildren from 5 children, he was surprised to discover a daughter he never knew about until she contacted him in a letter at the age of 26. Chuck and his wife reside on a ranch close to Navasota, Texas, where they run a bottled water business and contribute a portion of their earnings to environmental causes and Kickstart Kids. Shortly after the birth of Chuck Norris's younger brother, Wieland, their father was called to serve in World War II. In his autobiography, Against All Odds, My Story, Norris recounted the devastating news his family received. Ray Norris was declared MIA. Upon his eventual return, the impact of his wartime experiences weighed heavily on him, exacerbating his struggles with alcoholism. Norris vividly remembered distressing incidents, such as his father threatening his mother in an attempt to obtain the $5 she had saved for food. When intoxicated, trivial matters would trigger his anger. The sound of running water during a hangover would lead to explosive outbursts filled with threats and profanities. While Mom tried to pacify him, Wieland and I sought refuge in the bedroom, he penned. Reflecting on his childhood, Norris acknowledged that his role models were the cowboys he watched on the silver screen on the rare occasions when he had a spare dime to visit the cinema. Despite praising his mother's resilience, he also delved into the challenges of growing up with a father trapped in a destructive cycle of alcoholism, abuse, and unfulfilled apologies. My father served as a negative role model, embodying traits I aim to avoid, setting an example of what not to become. Chuck Norris's initial marriage concluded in divorce, leading to profound devastation as detailed in his memoir, Against All Odds, My Story. The divorce was a jolt to his system, as he expressed in his writing. Apart from grappling with emotional turmoil and a sense of failure, he found himself thrust into an entirely new way of life. Throughout his life, he had grown accustomed to being cared for and nurtured by strong, remarkable women. His life took a significant turn upon receiving a letter from Diana DeCioli, revealing that she was his daughter. Diana's mother, Johanna, had a brief relationship with Norris while he was still married, a fact he emphasizes he never disclosed. Initially dissuading her daughter from contacting Norris to protect his marriage, Johanna eventually relented following news of his divorce. Upon meeting his daughter, Norris immediately recognized their bond. He grappled with the consequences of his actions, conflicted by his faith's teachings on extramarital affairs as sinful. The weight of his transgressions, coupled with the guilt of not being present for his daughter and her mother, weighed heavily on him. Seeking forgiveness from Johanna, Norris acknowledged his extended family as a blessing, yet continued to lament the lost years. According to Norris' account in his autobiography, Against All Odds, My Story, Lee Atwater not only identified him as a conservative Republican, but also as someone who could help Bush project a tough guy image. Norris made numerous public appearances in support of Bush, and he mentioned that he and Atwater developed a sincere friendship along the way. Atwater had been involved in politics for a considerable period of time. He gained recognition for his role in securing a presidential nomination for Ronald Reagan years before. Tragically, Atwater passed away in 1991 at the young age of 40. He collapsed while delivering a speech, was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, and passed away shortly thereafter. In the days leading up to his death, Atwater was hospitalized and his physical appearance was drastically altered by the effects of his illness. Norris recounted that he was among the few individuals permitted to visit him, and when he did, Atwater could only speak in a whisper. I kissed him on the forehead and quickly exited his hospital room, struggling to hold back tears, Norris wrote. I managed to reach the car before breaking down in tears. I sat in the driver's seat and wept uncontrollably. He expressed that Atwater's passing deeply affected him. It dawned on me that if someone like Lee could deteriorate so rapidly, perhaps I was not immune to such vulnerability either. In 1958, Norris joined the U.S. Air Force as an air policeman and went to Osan Air Base in South Korea, where he earned the nickname Chuck and started training in Tang Soo. He later became a black belt in the art and founded the Chun Kuk Do form. After returning to the U.S., Norris continued his work as an AP at March Air Force Base in California. Following his discharge in 1962, he applied to be a police officer in Torrance, California, and opened a martial arts studio while on the waiting list. Norris began competing in martial arts tournaments and achieved victories over notable opponents, eventually becoming a champion in various competitions. He also worked for the Northrop Corporation and opened a chain of karate schools, with celebrity clients like Steve McQueen, Bob Barker, and Donny Osmond. Norris retired undefeated from competition after winning the All-American Karate Championship for the second time in 1968. In 1969, Norris successfully defended his title as world champion at the International Karate Championship and won karate's Triple Crown for the most tournament wins of the year. He also received the Fighter of the Year award from Black Belt magazine. During this time, Norris made his acting debut in the film The Wrecking Crew. In 1972, Chuck Norris rose to fame by playing Bruce Lee's nemesis in the martial arts film Way of the Dragon, which became the highest-grossing film in Hong Kong that year. The movie's success launched Norris into stardom, leading to more acting opportunities. In 1973, he appeared in The Student Teachers, followed by the role of the main antagonist in Yellow-Faced Tiger in 1974. Norris's friendship with Steve McQueen helped him transition into acting, and in 1977, he got his first starring role in Breaker. He continued to find success with films like Good Guys Wear Black in 1978, which established him as the first homegrown American martial arts star. Norris's success in the film industry also led to the publication of his first book on tournament karate in 1975. His unique approach to action films set him apart from other martial arts stars of the time, solidifying his place in Hollywood. In 1979, Norris starred in the movie A Force of One as a karate champion named Matt Logan who helps the police. Despite initial reluctance from studios, the film grossed $20 million, outperforming his previous movie. The following year, Norris appeared in The Octagon, fighting terrorists trained in ninja tactics, which was well received and earned nearly $19 million at the box office. In 1981, he acted in An Eye for an Eye, and in 1982, he starred in Silent Rage as a sheriff facing a dangerous psychopath. Lone Wolf from Quake in 1983, featuring Norris as a Texas Ranger defeating an arms dealer, was a global success and influenced his popular TV show, Walker, Texas Ranger. Norris also released a fitness book and had a video game based on him during this period. In 1984, Chuck Norris starred in Missing in Action, the first of a series of POW rescue films where he plays Colonel James Braddock. Produced by Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus under Canon Films, Norris dedicated the movies to his late brother Wieland, who died in Vietnam. The sequel, Missing in Action 2: The Beginning, premiered in 1985, followed by Code of Silence and Invasion USA, all contributing to Norris' success as Canon's top star in the 1980s. Menahem Golan's film The Delta Force, starring Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin, premiered on February 14, 1986. The movie follows a group of Special Forces troops led by Norris and Marvin as they combat terrorists, becoming a box office hit. Additionally, a cartoon called Karate Commandos, featuring Norris as a cartoon version of himself leading a government team, aired in October. In November, Norris co-lead in the film's Firewalker with Louis Gossett Jr., portraying seasoned treasure hunters. Despite mixed reviews, Norris showcased a lighter side of himself in the movie. He also published a best-selling book in 1987 and continued starring in films like Braddock, Missing in Action 3, and Hero and the Terror in 1988. By 1990, Chuck Norris films had grossed over $500 million worldwide, earning comparisons to Bruce Lee and Clint Eastwood. His roles in martial arts films led to him being dubbed the Blonde Bruce Lee, while his loner persona was likened to Dirty Harry. Norris continued making films with Aaron, including Delta Force 2, The Hitman, and Sidekicks. In 1993, he began shooting the series Walker, Texas Ranger, where he played Sergeant Cordell Walker fighting criminals with partner James Trevette. The show ran for 8 seasons on CBS and in syndication, ranking among the top 30 programs from 1995 to 1999. Norris also appeared in other TV shows and movies, wrote a book, and became known for Total Gym infomercials. In 1998, he starred in the TV film Logan's War, Bound by Honor, which was highly viewed.